The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation.
The Foundation is brought to you by Alive, Commonwealth Bank, Rawns Electric Motors, Bonneville Bones, Burger King, Fidelity Bank Bahamas, ATO's Holdings, and AML Foods Limited.
It's the foundation. Oh, say it's the foundation. Foundation. Oh, say it's the foundation.
It's the foundation that's rocking the nation. Howard Grant's the host, Guardian radio station 96.9, 12 to 2 is the time. You can call the show or use the text line. Yeah, he educates, he informs. He goes against the norm. He's really got that zeal. Plus, he's a child of God.
Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, The Foundation. On this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, live and in full effect. I don't know how beautiful it is. We're still talking about crime. We're still in this kind of a position where we're always talking about someone who has been excommunicated. Someone who has been taken out far too early. Someone who, based upon the judgment that exists within people, have been exacted upon someone else. This is too much. This is too much. It's time for us to have a clear conversation about where we are. And I don't know whether or not we've come to this point of introspection, but when we see 16 and 17-year-olds being blotted out from the annals of time and history, and the journey that we call adulthood, the trials and tribulation thereof, has not even started for these young people. It's time for us to look deeper within ourselves and find out whether or not we emulate this strange energy that is now morphing and molding the society. We got to talk about this. We have to have a very clear conversation. I think we've already passed the point of pointing fingers. And the only thing left for us to do is look within. How can I, with what I have, change where I am? That's it. We're going to have this very clear conversation, guys. I want you to be able to participate in this conversation with me today as we continue to be able to move forward, upward, onward together for growth and development of the country and being able to make these things happen. Before I get out of here and start this sort of position, and putting everything on the table, I'd like you to call in. So I'm going to give you the numbers right now, but I got to give a shout out to my good, decent people over at AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers. They got everything down there. You got to be able to go down there. Ethric was on with us talking great about where we are as a country, the concepts and ideas of participation from a governmental standpoint, and how private businesses, private sector need to identify how can we participate in terms of being able to see the country move forward. AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers is doing just that. If you have a fleet of cars, if you're a taxi driver or jitney driver, there's in-house financing, accessible, affordable, in-house. So you get the gratification of being able to get those things right now. You got to give them a call, 341-1AFS, 341-1AFS. They got everything laid out for you. Make sure you give them a shout out to see exactly what's what, and they can be able to assist you in those areas. Let them know that Howard Grant sent you down there from the foundation. Guys, pick up the Guardian newspaper. You can see in the newspaper, the Nassau Guardian, Office of the Prime Minister goes on the defensive. Disabilities work not hurt by funding reallocations. Information's in there. Gibson's brother testified for the prosecution in bribery trial. Father says that he would have taken a bullet for the son. I saw that. That was really heartfelt. Also, it says that
two shot dead, on New Providence and another on Harbor Island within the space of 24 hours. Within the space of 24 hours, these things happen. Let's talk about this, guys. The line's going to be wide open today. I want you to participate in the conversation with me. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300-5720, or hit me up 422-4796. I want to talk about crime. I want to talk about where we are. I want to talk post this kind of position that the government is taking. We had a great conversation yesterday. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you, Johnson, being able to come on us about some facts and figures and where we are. I think he was extremely generous in his posture, and being able to state that we're on course, we're continuing to be able to move. Not that he is kind of peppering anything in there, or trying to reintroduce or introduce a concept, or cloaking, but a statesman-like quality and posture to be able to identify what it is, to deduce it, and just to be able to put that information. I thought that was good. I thought it was cool. I keep trying to be able to ask him, what's the SWOT analysis? What do you think about this? Where are the strengths? Where are the weaknesses? Where are the opportunities? Where are the threats? What do you think can be fortified in this particular instance? Where do you think that they have kind of lost ground? Where do you think they need to be able to make up from? What are the impending, looming threats from an economic standpoint when we look at the forecast? What are we looking at, all these particular things? So I keep trying to nudge him in a particular direction, but he stayed steadfast right down the middle and saying that the government is trending is in a good trend. So I like to hear that. And I not that I disbelieve, for me, the forecast is two forecasts for me. One is internal, is a local forecast, and we contrast that to local pronouncements, and also sort of the index, right? The misery index. So you hit that forecast, you look at the numbers, you make identification, you identify what the possibility is, how it's happened over the past 5 years, excluding COVID-19, and you make a determination that this should happen as you look at what's happening globally. All right? So I think that there are some ways that me, personally, the government has done their part in terms of being above board and providing that information, but I'm always looking for that kind of dynamite, that dynamic approach to being able to see creativity bust through. I don't know. I think it's just me. I kind of hold my breath for that every midterm review, every fiscal period. I try to make a determination as to whether or not this will be the year. I think we got very close when Jerome Fitzgerald sat in the position of Minister of Education and with such enthusiasm talk about the doubling of the budget for education. But that doubling was only for money. And if we're going to be very honest, the doubling was inevitable because of the natural increase of, stuff, things. Education, information, access, imports, so forth and so on. Everything has risen. So to be able to take care of that, there could be no expectation that there would not be an increase in this particular budget also, right? But I thought that it was going to be sort of a dynamic approach as it relates to, creativity, innovation, something really off on a path for real growth and development and empowerment. That's what I'm looking for. I know that like I said to Marlon yesterday, I know that the SBDC has their position. Prior to the SBDC, we saw the former administration, which was the FNM at that time, had the Jumpstart and the Fresh Start programs, which evolved into this thing with the SBDC to see sustainability in this particular sector. But for me, there's still much to be desired. We want to talk like that. Guys, the lines are wide open today. If you want to be able to join in the conversation, the numbers are wide. The numbers are out there. You have the numbers. And if you want to be able to do that, let's talk about it. Now, I feel like the office of the Prime Minister has taken on this kind of position where they have to be relentlessly defensive. Maybe because they have kind of stepped into a campaign mode, right? I feel that's what it is.
They stepped into a campaign mode, and I feel like they're taking this posture of being defensive on their particular positions. And rightly so. This is politics. You need to be able to speak and articulate your posture and position why you've taken these particular steps and taken this stead. But I'm indifferent with it. I'm indifferent with this. It feels like I don't know. For me, I like Latreille. I just don't want to hear him relentlessly take on this position of being able to be defensive. The government of the Bahamas has chosen this particular path for the empowerment of the Bahamian people. Boom. The government of the Bahamas has chosen this path. And some things, in my view, you just don't answer. It's an unraveling. Once you answer it, we're going to have issues. Okay? That's just me. Some things you have to make a determination what to answer, what not to answer. Some of these things are designed strategically to pull you down a rabbit hole. A hole that'll give a smudge, a smirk. You don't want that for the office of the Prime Minister. For the most part, there is pros and cons, goods and bads, good things and bad things that are happening within this administration. Some days we look at these things, we give you commendation. Some days we kind of give you criticisms. And that's just the yin and the yang, the balance of what you would expect when you're moving to governance. That's just what it is. Had a conversation with Marlon Johnson yesterday, and I indicated to Marlon Johnson, I say, boy, look here, when you sit in this particular seat as the financial secretary of the country, in this kind of a official capacity, everybody demonizes you. People feel like there's no growth and development. Things are happening. They have to find someone, and that gatekeeper sometimes sits in the seat. So you have to take on this position and understand that you will have hellfire rain down upon you sometimes. And sometimes, whether they like to or not, they got to give you commendation. They got to clap you up if you're doing what you're supposed to do. And that's what it is. I don't know whether or not politics in our country has taken us to this position where they believe that there's this belief that people got to like you. Everybody got to like you. Everybody don't have to like you. You just have to do your work. Just do your job with clarity, with precision, with determination, with inclusion, and get to the point that we're supposed to be. I want to talk like that, guys, and be able to have this kind of a clear conversation with you. I see that the opposition is in the news today. Also, FNM slams reallocation for the Funds of Disability Commission. I would like a call from someone I know who I'm thinking of, right? I won't be decent. I don't want to call your name, but I'd like to talk about the Disabilities Act. Okay? Let me take this quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen, and start to chop this thing down. Let me give you the numbers before. 6232-325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere for the family of violence, 242-300-5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. I want to talk a little crime and the crime of inconsistency within politics. Let's talk about these things when we get back right after this.
Foundation. Creativity is in my blood. From shoes to handbags, fashion lets me express myself and embody Bahamian culture. My name is Aiden Barrow, and I am the creative director of House of Assembly. Alive's Liberty Prime Plan allows me to focus on my passion and stay connected, whether at home or abroad. Once I've created something new, I can post to social media from anywhere and get instant feedback. Alive has a plan for everyone, and it's created with you in mind. Alive, believe in best.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Saturday, March 9th at Collins Estates Grounds, Collins Avenue, and Shirley Street. It's March Madness Grill Fest beginning at 12 p.m. There'll be lots of grilled food and tasty dishes. Grilled chicken, beef, fish, strips, and fried barry too. Native sweets and treats, ice cold drinks, leaded and unleaded. Domino and bingo tournament, live band and DJs. Proceeds in aid of our Disability Awareness Summer Camp and Down Canoe Group. For more information, call 804-1773. Powered by Bacadas and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, the foundation. On this beautiful February 27th, this is the day that the Lord has made. Thou shalt eat zebra today, 2 days before the end of the month is what? Y'all wait for government. It is payday. My God. You're excited? I'm sure they can have sales down at the Mall and Marathon. I'm sure they can have sales. Every time you get paid, somebody is having a sale. My God. Don't let them pull you in. My God. Take your money home. Decide that by the end of the first week, you will not eat noodles. That the noodles will not come until the very last week, if at all. Let's talk about conservation. Let's talk about, right? What Ian say? Conserve your cash. CYC. That's what Fred was talking about the other day. CYC. Conserve your cash. That's what it was about. I'm sure that's what it was about. He's always astute talking like that. I'm grateful to be able to hear take on that position. Guys, I say that, but sometimes we have to put a little humor to this, because if we continue to be able to allow the muck and mire, trials and tribulation, the overcast, the shadow that exists in this country to loom over us and descend upon our, we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. Last night I got information about 2 young men, and I got my people to hit me up. I feel like it's happened within the same time, right? And my wife said, "What? Where you get that from?" I said, "I'm getting texts right now. This information, the only person who's quicker than that is Candy from Foam, Candy Gibson. If you're on a Facebook page, you can see what's popping in, and she said, "What's popping? What's popping in this area? What's popping in that area?" Automatically, it's a shooting. Automatically, it's a death. Something happened. You understand? And so you can be able to find out this information. But Candy gets that. The only person quicker than her is my phone. Praise God. I don't put the information out. And as I looked at that, and I said, two males on Faith Avenue, I keep thinking to myself, I don't know if it's that you do this. I keep thinking to myself, where was I in proximity to this thing? Did I have any inclinations to go in this area? Should I even be afraid or aware when I go around these particular places? This is a crazy thing, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to be very clear with you. I sat down yesterday, and on Sunday, before we went to the 12 o'clock service on Sunday, and the information came before then about someone being murdered, right? A young lady being shot and a father murdered. And then the story came out with the introduction of martyrdom. I don't think it was deliberate. I don't think it was by design. I think it was a story that Chief Superintendent Skippings was telling, right? And as she started to talk about, can you imagine, a father coming to pick up his daughter and being snuffed out? And for me, that has been accompanied, these stories that kind of wraps you in person's lives, that has always been accompanied on a later broadcast or later release that this particular person was known to the police, or there is some connection, or maybe sometimes we don't hear it from an official standpoint. And I'm indifferent with it. I'm indifferent with being able to be wrapped up in these particular stories without understanding that this is a turf war that's happening in our country. I'm indifferent. This isn't random. We haven't heard a random incident that happened over the past 6 to 8 months. Correct me. No, I haven't heard Howard Grant, the information that I have access to, and the way that this country is in terms of its size and the release of information, I haven't heard a random event. This happened haphazardly. This was a drive-by shooting and this particular person passed away as a result. No, let me fix this. Let me fix this. The guy at the gas station, the gentleman at the gas station, this was the only thing that we understood was a fluke. It wasn't designed to happen. So my point is that when you tell these stories and you give us this information about what's happening, when you give us this information about who has lost their life and who is found lifeless and the guy ran off into the bushes or got away in a Japanese car, so forth and so on, and then you give us this story, the backstory of what happened immediately, it's hard for us to ingest that because we've been conditioned socially to almost expect there to be some nefarious activity associated with it. It's hard. Now, to understand that 2 young boys has lost their lives yesterday without there being some looming question in the back of our minds, or is it just my mind, that says, what could these young boys be involved with? What are the allegations that's going to be levied against them in due time and due season? We've already heard from the Commissioner of Police. We've already heard from the Minister of National Security that indicates between the age of 15 and 24, these are the murderers. This is the grouping and demographic of murderers in our country. We've already understood that this is, for the most part, turf war, gang related. So the question I have now is, how do I even receive this information? Have we become desensitized to the cold-blooded execution of our young men and women in the streets? Have we become desensitized from identifying the fact that these young men and women are a part of who we are? And has that desensitization, has that kind of a desensitized nature taken over our mindset in our society? I want to talk to you about that. Because my heart wants to cry out for the 2 young boys. But I'm reluctant. I am. And I should never be reluctant to be able to say a soft prayer, to be able to talk about these things. The only thing I can do is now at this juncture, say a general concept, to pray for healing of our nation. This is hurtful to me as an individual, with or without a microphone, in a position of being able to identify where this country is. Forget the potential. Forget the desperation. Forget the creativity that exists within you. Forget the innovation. Forget your political choices. Where are we as a nation? If we're content with the fact that no matter your age, if you're snuffed out in the streets, you're a part of some nefarious activity, some gang-related activity, something dark and dreary. How close do we come to the precipice, to the edge, to the cusp of saying, well, that's another one that bite the dust. Well, that's another one gone. Very casual and flippant with the lives that represent the nation that we're in. You know, I was offended at an international newscast when I can't remember which the incident was, but it was international, and they took it in other spaces, and they started to talk about Bahamian lawmakers. And it was just general. They were starting to talk about, I think it was the Adrian Gibson case. It was the introduction of the Adrian Gibson case. It could either be Adrian or Dion. I can't remember. But it was such a blanket statement. And it gave condemnation to everyone in the House of Assembly. And I was indifferent with that. And I took great offense to that. One of my friends called me and said, Howard, these people are lawmakers, point blank. This is what it is. This story is not inaccurate. It's accurate. Based upon what happened, this is what it was. And I said, I'm indifferent with that. I'm indifferent with the introduction of how they just spread it far and wide and gave them this responsibility that we don't even recognize them for locally. This was the conversation that I had. This is where we are as a nation right now. This is where we are. The Bahamas is viewed far and wide, especially with the pronouncements of what's come from the U.S. Embassy. We're viewed far and wide as a nation who wrestles with violence, murders, and it's increasing. There is an expectation, very, very quietly, no one's pronouncing it just yet, that we now turn to the Gaza Strip, or to what Jamaicans call it, that we turn to this, that there is a devaluation in our money, that we now denigrate ourselves and become less than, that we aspire to the way that we carry it ourselves because of these young men that's being snuffed out in the streets. How are we going to fix this? Let's talk about this. How are we going to fix this? We've had relentless conversations. We've identified persons. We've talked about guns, whether or not we should be able to carry guns. We talked about the church, whether or not the church is in their kind of position to be able to participate and get some things done. We talked about mothers. We talked about fathers. We talked about everything from a foundational standpoint to identify how do we reintroduce law and order in our society. How do we get back to a place where we could find ourselves moving towards growth and development? How? We're talking about corporal punishment and the introduction of being able to send discipline back into school. To have your senior master walk up and down with a long cane wrapped in tape, his or her back, giving you 2 good licks in the event that you go contrary. I'm indifferent with that. Because the children don't know what you're beating them for. This is where we are as a society. There's no refuge here. There's no rehabilitation here. There is only that ancient word from a traditional standpoint that says, man up. Deal with it. Let that go. Stop crying. That's all. No rehabilitation, no rejuvenation, no access to nothing. Just man up. When these children get locked up, sent to jail, they come out worse. We find them in the society, we don't even know how to educate them about their position because many of us have gone afar off. We have gone afar off from our conviction, our position for growth and development. I want to talk to you like this, that this can no longer happen. That our dependency cannot be from a political standpoint to expect many of these men to provide an avenue for change. If we're going to be absolutely honest, many of them, novice and seniority that exist in there, are consumed and concerned with themselves. Can we say this? Currently, previously, futuristically. Many, not all, many, based upon the rhythm of our society, have gone into leadership hoping to get something for themselves. How can we expect men and women who sit in the House of Assembly with the wherewithal to identify and be able to craft legislature to see the country move in a direction, have not done so? How can we expect them to provide us an answer? If we're going to have a conversation, many of the issues that we suffer, that we endure, has arisen from the House of Assembly. a lack of application to commitment to the country, a lack of understanding that this is really about community and not about your political organization. If we're going to have this conversation, we got to be very clear with it. 2 young kids are gone. And we still ain't in an uproar. A young girl was shot in the head while charging her telephone. And you still provided a way to show me some affiliation. Not necessarily that she did anything, but there was nefarious activity hanging around her. This is the allegations. This is the speculation. This is the position that you put us in as a society. How are we going to fix this? Ladies and gentlemen, this is too much. I just want to say this to you. My heart is filled. And I feel like I'm teetering on the edge of saying something that's, socially taboo. That's not accepted. But the culture and the position that we exist and the way that we stand for in this country, oh no, Howard, you can't say that. You know better than that. I feel like we're lazy people, man. I feel like we're lazy. And not lazy, incapable. I feel like it's the laziness by design. It's almost like you're turning your blind eye to something because you're being fed. And strategic positions of leadership that, you got people coming to you and taking care of you, you're being fed. And as a result of you being fed, everyone else have to suffer for your comfort. I feel like we do more. But the question is, do we care to do more? Do you even care? Man, let the fellas kill up themselves. Let them kill up. They're so stupid. Let them kill up themselves. Somebody else call. Well, these people is illegal migrants. This is just crazy to me. I'm sorry, man. My heart is filled. I can't stand. You'll have to understand something. I never knew I would be this shaken when I see things like this happen. I love a good movie. And when you see these, it's unfamiliar. You don't even know how to respond to it in a movie. You would never ask yourself, suppose that would happen to me. Our society is not structured like this. And so I've never even thought to think about, suppose this happened. And then I have a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old young man, a 17-year-old young man living right here in this country. And I got to say to him, hey, don't put on that sweater. No, cut your hair down lower. No, make sure tie your laces like this in case you got to run. This is what I have to say to my son. Listen to me. My father never did this to me. He never said this to me. My pants was hanging off my behind in the 90s. We had the bell bottoms and all. I was dragging jeans. All my jeans was torn to the bottom. We were just comfortable. We never had to get up and prepare ourselves to run nowhere. Now, I got to tell my son, no, wear the tracksuit when you get out, just in case you got to run. No, make sure the hat aerodynamic if you have to run. No, put all the windows down in the car when you're driving the car. That's what I got to say to my son. Unfair that he don't go around the wrong places. This is the society we live in. We got to fix this. Lines are wide open. Telephone caller on the line. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening, my brother?
I'm excellent, man. Just a little bit disturbed like yourself for a person who's passionate for the country, and especially, Howard, for young people that I do a lot of things with young people. But, Howard, the reality of it now, and I want you to face reality of it, is that some of these children, right? We call them children. We don't call them men or young men. We call them children. Every time, Howard, the trend in the Bahamas, especially in Nassau, is when just say like the two young chaps what got killed. Howard, the pictures that they post on social media, one, sign and with their hands as gang members. Come on, Howard. Come on. I heard my good cousin Clayton Fernandez, Commissioner of Police, alluded to type of clothing they wear, Tommy Hilfiger. But Howard, all of these fellas who are getting killed, when they family or friends, whoever post their pictures, they have a gang sign with their hands or fingers. So what else for you who is passionate? What else for me who is passionate to do? Tell me. These fellas tell you, Howard, they're going to ride or they're going to die. I think I told you the story before when I had a car wash. This mother who had this son he went to, I think it was Shaw. He went to all the necessary things to try to get him to stir back in the right direction. The young man worked with me. I worked with him, and he used to tell me, he said, Mr. Williams, the only reason the murder count don't go up in Nassau is because the individual don't see their target right away. Sometimes they see them the same day. Sometimes they see them a week later. Sometimes they even see them a year later. But the sad part about it, that young man was accepted back into school. I think it was R.M. Bailey, because he get kicked out of all kinds of schools. But through working with him and talking to one or two people, they accept him back, right? He didn't even make it to school, Howard. That young man was working with me. And God knows, if I lie on this phone today, working with me, saving his money to buy a gun. At 15 years old.
Wow.
And 3 weeks later, I think he got shot up in not Pinewood, somewhere up in Fox Hill area, somewhere up in that area. Young boy that I took under my wing. I used to go out with him. I wasn't, I know he was in that type of lifestyle. I was scared when I go out with him as a target because I with him. But I still took that opportunity to try to stir him in the right direction. Howard, listen to me. I can say this and close it on your radio talk show. Parents who got those wayward children, who don't want to listen, who don't want to follow the right things in life, put them in some insurance. It's sad to say it like that, but Howard,
crazy.
That's the reality of it, Howard. Because there ain't nothing else you could do. The government, the police, the school, social service, their hands are tied just like how me or you are passionate for this country and for its young people. So I tell parents, sorry to bring it to you like that, but let me bring it to you. Put your children in some kind of insurance so you could get something back, so you don't have to be on social media, but you need money for burial. Have a good day, my brother.
Wow. Is that the sobering reality of where we are as a society? That before we even try to instill the proper values and belief, try to be able to craft and mold our children, we look at them and let them run crazy like shepherd needle in the bush. Huh? And say, well, at least I can get something back from him. I got him a little insurance. My God. Is that where we are as a society? Is this like post-abortion? Because that's what this is. You are aborting your responsibility as a parent. You have neglected, rejected the idea of being able to mold and rear these young children decent than you could ever imagine. You save all your money. Listen to me. I tell you one story one time. And I see a telephone call. I tell you a story one time. I get mad at my best friend. It's me and this guy, like we tight in high school, 9th grade. He knew in the 9th grade, this was the year I was supposed to tell this girl I like her. He knew that. I like this guy from he was in 7th grade. 9th grade now, it's time to tell her. It's time to be able, we got to start going. All this dating thing, I don't know where that came from. We got to start going. I told you I used to get $3 for lunch. $3 a day. That could buy me a curry dinner and a drink. So I had to make a determination. I don't really need break. I get
lunch is good. I save my lunch money for 2 days. Now, if you know Howard, saving lunch money is a big deal. Let's just start this. Let's start there, right? I save my lunch money for 2 days to get this girl a hot patty, a juice, a twist, and lunch. That's $6. So you can get a break and you can get a lunch. And this was the introduction of a commitment that should be a lifelong journey. In my mind, in the ninth grade, it's the first time I saved my money to do something like this. And the day, it's just amazing how God is working. The day I saved my money to buy this girl a hurricane punch, a curry patty, a chicken patty, and then buy her lunch, I bring in a chicken patty and a hurricane punch from Grandmom, if you don't know Sunny House. I bring in the thing. I smell pizza piping out the door. One fella out of school buy a whole pizza. My point. I was saving my saving my money with anticipation of getting in love. Falling in love in the ninth grade. These young children saving their money with anticipation of murder. Where have we gone wrong in this society? Where? Have we gone from the position of identifying what prostitution is to being able to change the language that exchange ain't no robbery? This is scary stuff. And before we find the courage to change that, you're saying to me, let's open more insurance companies. We can make some money off these dead children. The devil is a liar. Let me take this caller and then I can go to a break. Call on the line. Go ahead.
Howard.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's that caller with that gentleman said? He tells the facts. That's
Oh.
what other people do not. And
Jesus.
the problem of this country is to use cell phones. Remember now, when these children growing up 2 and 3 years old, all these children get on the parents get on cell phone. They all over the world. They go their cell phone. The parents buy them this game. The game teach them how to take their enemy out. That's all they know. They quiet them down in the room.
So Halo and Halo and Grand Theft Auto and all these things, teaching them.
Just teach the children the phone, teach them it. But the parents are not going to take the phone from the children. 2 and 3 years old, get phone.
I agree with you.
So what problem? So our problem just started. This all over the world. It's only about all over the world. The Caribbean have the same, Jamaica, trying to all have the same problem. There's no government can help us. No police can help us. The phone can take them from the children. Because when they take the phone from the children get mad with them. And they want the best one. They want an iPhone. I know the 7-year-old girl, she to tell her daddy she want an iPhone to push it to play her better. 7-year-old child.
My God.
And they can get worse. And when you realize now what's going on, take 10, 14 have insurance. And next 10 years, what time probably think we got have?
That's crazy.
I can say what's that. That's the world. That's the world design. You take a phone from a tree overnight, they'll go crazy. With the parents, get them out, they go in the room, quiet down. They on the internet, they all over the world. They know what Grand Theft, they know what everything they want to know. They know more than me and you.
That's crazy.
So what you could do?
We got to figure out something to do, man. I appreciate your telephone call, my brother. Thank you so very kindly for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to take this commercial break and get into these things. My wife just texted me and said, y'all was poor. You only got $3 for lunch. That's right. Well, obviously, I didn't save money for her. So give God praise that she got the pizza that day. Because we mightn't have been married. Praise God. It's a beautiful day, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about resolving. So we talked about evolve to resolve. But we got to figure out a way to be able to get to the core of this. And the answer cannot be put the children in insurance. Let's talk about these things. Quick commercial break and be right back after this.
Brothers and sisters, you must all listen to this song because it's trying to show you the importance of holding on to the very last. Sing, Sandra.
Many examples of courage in times of misery are recorded in the Bible for you and me. To see the little David was up against a mighty giant, he never fret. He was victorious, cause Jehovah came to his aid. So, it's up this
great news! Ron's Electric Motors' new location on Cowpen Road, right next to Island Luck, is open Saturdays and Sundays. So for those needing repairs on electric motors, generators, welding machines, water pumps, battery chargers, electric lifts, transformers, and power tools, Ron's Cowpen Road location can have you up and running on weekends. Don't forget, you can still visit Ron's Electric Motors on Wolf Road and Claridge Road, and now Ron's new location on Cowpen Road. Dial 356-0249 or 323-5267.
Bonneville Bones, established in 1970, is the leader in men's fashion in the Bahamas. We're conveniently located in the mall at Marathon and the Harbor Bay Shopping Plaza, and fully stocked with everything you need for all occasions. Our Harbor Bay location is one door north of Alive, with the black and white signage of Bonneville Boutique. Both locations are open from 10 to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Bonneville Bones and Bonneville Boutique, still the leader in men's fashion. Located in the mall at Marathon and the Harbor Bay Shopping Plaza.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Saturday, March 9th at Collins Estates Grounds, Collins Avenue, and Shirley Street. It's March Madness Grill Fest beginning at 12 p.m. There'll be lots of grilled food and tasty dishes. Grilled chicken, beef, fish, grilled duck, grilled this, skunk fritters, shrimp rolls, and fried barry too. Native sweets and treats, ice cold drinks, leaded and unleaded. Domino and bingo tournament, live band and DJs. Proceeds in aid of our Disability Awareness Summer Camp and Down Canoe Group. For more information, call 804-1773. Powered by Bacadas and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Struggling to repay your loan? Let us help you get back on track with payment terms that suits your financial and credit report with the Bahamas Credit Bureau. Inquire about our restructured loans today. Call us at 356-7764.
Fish Fry Friday is back at Margaritaville, downtown Nassau, a 12-volt bar featuring the big band Visage with the latest soca music. Admission is $25, one complimentary drink included. Experience the Fish Fry Buffet at Vacation Cafe for only $55, party included. Doors open at 6:30 p.m., party until 11:30 p.m. After break, Fish Fry Friday is back. So come party with the big band Visage and your number one DJ, March 1st at 12-volt bar, Margaritaville, downtown Nassau. Tell your crew to meet you at Fish Fry Friday.
This is Guardian Radio, 97, Nassau, Bahamas.
Join the movement. It's time for the annual Guardian Media's Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Fair. Saturday, March 2nd at the Mola Marathon. Starting at 10 a.m. Admission is free. Come and receive free health screenings by the walk-in clinic, fantastic product info, and sound financial advice. Participate in the exercise demonstrations by Natasha Brown, Outdoor Fitness Bahamas, and RF Exposure. There will also be a CPR demonstration by Superior Care, plus live performances by Blawdy, Johnny Cake, Shine, and Carrington McKenzie, ending with a Saxon superstar Junkanu Rush Out. Join the movement. It's the annual Nassau Guardians Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Fair, Saturday, March 2nd at the Mall at Marathon.
In reverence to the Lord above, let's prove and a glorious day. Pray the world be filled with righteousness today. Let's pray for love and a glorious day. With the rising of the sun, let's pray each day. There's gotta be a place on this earth whereby peace mankind abides. Let us find this place so every man can follow. Through my life I seek and pray that this place I will find. Help me, Lord, as I speak to the world. Each man be.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, the foundation here, live in full effect on this beautiful 27th day of February 2027. If you are in the land of the living, give praise. If you're one of those who are prepared to leave, my God, We pray for you. I don't know. I mean, in terms of your mind, I'm not talking about an ailment. I'm talking about preparation in your mind. That a decision has been made. Daddy, all right, that's bananas to me. That's crazy to me. We're talking today. The lines are wide open. If you want to be able to join in the conversation, please do so. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family violence, 242-300-5720, or hit me up 422-4796. That was Peter Morgan. I think that was Peter Morgan from Morgan Heritage, right? He passed away yesterday at 47 years old. Crazy. I didn't even know he was 47. All that gray in his hair, I thought he was older than that. 47 years old, passed away yesterday. So we continue to be able to pray his health and pray for the family's strength, rather, as they continue to be able to deal with their bereaving family for the loss of their family member. This is sad. Locally, internationally, we're seeing these things. I want to talk about this. When we left off, we were starting to talk about what can we do as a society. DeWitt gave us a call and said the only thing we can do, Howard, is put these children in a good insurance. That's crazy. Insurance could fix this, you know. Yeah, put the children in insurance in school. Tell families the only way that they could collect is being able to get $25,000 after they live X amount. They'll do everything they can. Child, you, what? You ain't getting no gang? I got money to collect in 3 years on you. There's things that we can do. All this is just shooting from the side, just shooting from the hip to talk about creative ways that we can make this thing happen. And we can be able to participate in our community again. Numbers are open. Telephone call on the line. Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, Howard.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, too.
Praise God.
You see, this corporal punishment started in America in their schools, where the parents, the state, would tell them how to run their children. And so they couldn't whip or they couldn't talk back to their children in any way. The children would be taken from them. We have adopted that same system here in our schools. When I was a young girl growing up, I used to look to Sunday to go to church on Sunday school at 3 o'clock in the evening and church in the afternoon. That was taken away by the ecumenical. All the churches adopted that from Europe, and they stopped having Sunday school. Sunday became a sports day. And so that started the discipline going down the line that the children did no longer worship God the way they should. Schools, when I was a young girl growing up, when you fight or you carried on in the school, the teacher would send you to the headmaster or the headmistress. They would take a ruler and find out why did you fight in school today. They would have both children. And they would give you a couple of taps in the palms of your hand, give you a letter to take to your parents. They wouldn't fight the next day. That would be due. But I remember when I wouldn't call the church name. This lady wanted to adopt this 13-year-old girl. They had Joan Sawyer, and this lady was telling them they had this girl. She was in the reform school. She was a terrible person, but she still wanted to adopt her. So the young girl told Miss Sawyer, she said she joined the gang, and in order to be initiated, she said they told her she had to kill. She said this young boy, he was waking at the Nassau Beach. She lived out South Beach the way he did. And they all hid in the bush, give her a gun. And when the person dropped the fellow off on the corner, she ran up to him and shot him dead. That case was never solved. I was in the church and we were aghast at what she said. So this lady was going to adopt this girl, but she was afraid afterwards to adopt this 13-year-old. They have to kill somebody they do not know, in order to be initiated in the gangs. They need to have the police start walking through the constituencies, not riding a car or on a bicycle. They need to ride through the corners and let the young men and the young women see. look, get us law and order. We have enough police to do that. And so the Commissioner of Police, I hope he would hear this, put policemen in these constituencies, walk about. Stop riding in cars and passing through with speed. And this is what I have to say. It's sad, but I thank you for listening to me.
I thank you. I thank you for your story. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good day. Thank you so much, Mama. I appreciate you. That's a strong story. I never heard initiation locally. We know that every time you hear about the Crips and Bloods in the United States of America, there are always, or the Rolling 60s or whatever this, the Mexican gang is, out in Crenshaw, out in Los Angeles. It says that this was the initiation. We watch movies, but this being the initiation. Locally, when we hear stories about young persons joining gangs, it's always for affiliation. It was for, in so many words, love and relationship, proximity, companionship, friendship, not necessarily for the purposes of absolute violence at the forefront. These things happen. It evolves into that. I remember when I was young, my father never wanted to see a bunch of fellas. I don't know whether or not just because they was black, it was a lot. I don't know what it was. But you see more than 4 or 5 young fellas walking together. Look at them. They're about to get into trouble right now. I don't know where that came from. But that was his mindset. And I think that's something that hasn't left our society. This idea of being able to, if you're on the basketball court, if you're not being able to participate in an event and you're just hanging out, then idle hands is the devil's playground. That's one of the things that we continue to be able to contend with in our society. So I appreciate your story. And it was locally. Somebody called me from the Royal Bahamas Police Force or who has any affiliation with that to let me know is initiation a thing now? Do young people have to be initiated into this lifestyle for them to be accepted as one of the gang, of the group? Let's talk about it. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Howard. How are you?
I'm good, man. What's happening?
I'm great. I have a contribution to the crime problems in this country, right? First of all, when you listen to the politicians talk about addressing it, they never deal with solutions. They talk about walkabouts and saturation patrols and all of that, but that doesn't change the behavior. The criminals just get smarter. Mm-hmm. So at some point, the politicians have to address this issue. You see, and the only time they're going to address this issue is when the United States put an advisory on us. And that advisory is for Americans. The United States government don't care about Bahamians, you know. They don't care that we kill up each other and all of that. But when it the crime starts to migrate into areas where Americans have their time and, comes the problem. You see, then they start putting advisories on us. But when you talk about killing black people killing other black people, it doesn't matter to them. Okay, so it's much like the Chicago syndrome. Black Lives Matter comes out and Black Lives Matter talk about crime in Chicago and then the modern murders and stuff. And, there's no Black Lives chapter in Chicago. They don't march. They don't do anything to stop the activism. The only thing is they're trying to do is replace the system. I brought that up because we are adopting that same system here in this country. I noticed Kamala Harris has been sort of dipping in and out of here. Maxine Waters have been dipping out of here. These are all Democrats. Our PLP and F&M governments are conceding to these people on methodologies of how to deal with crime in this country. These people are liberal. They call themselves liberal, and they call themselves socialists, but they're actually communists. They want to break down the entire system, and that is being reflected here in this country. At some point, we're going to have to stand on our own and stop taking advice from these people and deal with the crime issue. And one suggestion I would make, I'm not just complaining, one suggestion I would make, that suggestion is that we revise the bail laws and I mean seriously revise the gun possession laws. When I lived in the U.S., I had 2 guns, right? I had a Glock, a Glock 44, and I had an AR-15, and a special purpose, the AR-15. But I went by the law. I had to go get my FBI background check. 10 days later, I went and picked up my weapons. The fact that I'm making is that we have to now put stricter gun laws in place, but it's not going to happen because the politicians are always looking at the next election, Howard. At some point, we gotta get a grip of this thing, man. So we can talk about crime in the schools. We can talk about crime all over the place, but as soon as it hits tourist areas, then you're going to see the government take this serious.
Wow. I appreciate your contribution, my brother. Thank you so very kindly. I'd like to know what state you was in to talk about your being able to get your gun laws, because it doesn't sound like it was Florida. It doesn't sound like it was Florida. If you had to go get your background check and you're this and you're that, it doesn't sound like it was Florida, right? They're making modifications to those particular things, but it's heavy what you started to say. I think there is an unraveling, and I think I don't know whether or not that's the conspiracy on in our mind, or if we're watching these dots and seeking to connect it in one way or another. If we collectively, as a society, as those who are alert. This is not me saying, I don't want to say woke, but for all of us who are sober-minded and vigilant, who understand what's happening socially, for being able to put these puzzles, these pieces of the puzzles together. So I don't know if this is conspiracy or we're seeing too many dots and trying to identify, how did this connect? How do we connect these particular dots? So when you start to talk about Maxine Waters, she's been coming here for years. Let's just be very clear about that. She's been coming here for years, right? And also, she has great relationships with some people within government, right? Within leadership in our country. And also, when you start to talk about Kamala Harris more specifically, there is, if you're going to ask me, there is a subtle agenda that wasn't necessarily about the overarching position of where we are, whether we exist or don't exist, but the introduction of an agenda that's being brought with her in so many ways, in so many words. I see that. Now, could be me also, being a conspiracy theorist, but when you start to say that, then you start to say that this is Democrats. Access and openness and so forth and so on. Do you really believe that our politicians are taking this course? Do you really believe that our politicians are identifying or looking at what the Democrats are doing and opening up and gravitating towards that, as opposed to being able to look at sort of a conservative position that the Republicans speak of? This is heavy what you're saying to me, my brother. This is heavy what you're saying to me. And I want to thank you so much for your telephone call, for being able to do that. Guys, the lines are wide open. We can continue this conversation. So you said that the saturation is not working. The criminals only become smarter. They only know how to circumvent, navigate what you present to them. And they're becoming smarter by the day. Let's talk about it. Next telephone call. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
What's up, Howard?
All is well, my brother. What's happening with you?
All right. You got to stand back,
How you want me to stand back?
You got to stand back and look at the demographic involved in this activity.
Really?
Yeah, the perpetrators and the victims all come from a particular and singular demographic.
And which demographic is that?
Okay. By and large, everybody knows. Everybody have an idea of the person who's going to come to shoot them in this time being in, okay? All of them in the same group, okay? Now, if you think back, this thing is happening almost exactly a generation from the 80s, where the problems that we are now experiencing were birthed. Okay, we brought the social promotion thing into our schools, where Johnny or Jamie didn't have to really have an education to get through school, and they were socially promoted through the grades. Now, when they began and said, oh, I don't think this is working, right in that intersection, that where stuff started to come in all over the place with everybody involved. And the children we're seeing now into all this stuff, those children, parents, came out of the 80s. Those children's parents, by and large, came out of the 80s. Now, our politicians and a whole host of church leaders who supported the politicians have the answer for this. This is our problem.
It's heavy what you're saying.
Eh?
It's heavy what you're saying.
No, but there's one incident that stands out to me. I moved in the area. I moved in, like it's like 40 years ago now. But one night, just after I moved through there, they had a political rally on the park. It was called the Universe Road.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we heard that, things was going so good that everybody was going to probably be a millionaire. Okay? Now, this came from the top. But the next time that group attempted to hold a rally on that park, guess what happened?
You tell me.
And they tried to hold it 2 or 3 nights in succession. Every time they attempted to go on the park, a lightning storm happened over the park. The sky was clear, cloudless sky, but a lightning storm happened over the park. And to my recollection, under my recollection, that group has not been on Windsor Park since.
They was that powerful? They bring the electricity storm? Oh my God!
No. It was like no. It was an indictment in this country at the time. Now, the seeds of that indictment that we sowed, we are reaping right now in 2024. It's like a generation to the date. And our church leaders, I think they are more complicit than our political leaders.
Wow.
Because you can keep an appointment to a board, silences most pastors in this country.
Bananas. Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate your telephone call. I appreciate your contribution. I got something to say about this. I got something to say about this. Now, over the past year, we've been having good conversation here. I've been enjoying it. I've identified a great deal of people, far and wide, a good cross-section of people to talk with. And I started to talk more specifically with Professor's brother, okay? And the good Reverend, right? And he said something to me that never left me. He started to talk to me about the responsibility that you had to the community prior to 1973, that you knew your position, that you knew your participation, that you knew that you were a part of something, that this fight that we saw, that this unity that we saw was as a result of the community that they came from. They knew it. They still had allegiance to their family. They still had this kind of relentless, perpetual respect for their household, their homestead. They understood the community. They were grateful for the community. They were grateful to the PRP for this concept and idea of not wide open liberalization, Not wide open independence, but access to spaces that they could not access. And most of them is only the Savoy Plaza. That was a victory unto itself. If you had independence for the Savoy Plaza, many of them would have been happy. Independence to be a bank teller, they would have been ecstatic, because these are the examples that they continue to provide to me. Howard, we couldn't go to the Savoy Plaza. I don't even know what this is. What are you saying to me? What is the Savoy Plaza? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And so in speaking with him, and he started to talk about this, he says to me, he says, after independence, you found strength unto yourself. And with the introduction of cocaine, you wanted to take a little, because they've never had these experiences before. Excuse me. They never had these experiences before. So they sought after these experiences. Now, any of us know this. If you're part of this society, there's no coming of age for a young man in this society, right? Sometimes that's one level of debauchery or another. There's no coming of age. And the introduction of a coming of age out of the confines of your homestead and the staring eyes of your community, you found liberty and independence with going to work and getting a job and exploring and experimenting with drugs. I go on somewhere for you, my good friend who just called. The exploration or an exploitation of that drug led us to the 80s. Drugs was already awash in the country before the 80s. The 80s brought formality and the drug trade in terms of formality and identifying where you used to be a bag man or whether you used to be someone. It brought formality where you became a boss. And it gave this kind of perverted liberty, this perverted entrepreneurialism to the masses. And as a result of this perversion, this perverted concept and idea of and this dark approach to ownership, you became a part of an underworld. Right here in society, you function and so forth and so on, but now you're a part of an underworld. And the fear that struck in the minds and hearts of a great deal of people was not to bother with you and those part of this underworld. Not necessarily because we were seeing so much killing up and down in these streets, but we was watching Miami news every day. And them Cubans was dying daily. My God, you couldn't go to the Dolphin Mall, 163rd. They was dying daily. And we all knew that there was one anchor cause, that was drugs. A lot of the babies in the 80s were drug babies. Crack cocaine in the system, giving birth to children. Now, as an increase of ADHD, as an increase of all these things in societies years and years, many of these kids that we see now are the children of the children who are reared in the 80s. That still doesn't negate the fact that society has a responsibility to identify and fix the ills that exist. It's not enough for us to just be able to say, that's the 80s churn, baby, and then throw our hand up. The babies are here. The children are here wreaking havoc on the baby boomers. They're wreaking havoc on everybody who live in. And now you introduce new information to the conversation to say that you got to be initiated. Initiated? I thought you just had to be desperate. You got to go through formality? My God, you don't get initiated for some job around here. Do they have orientation also? This is too much. And you're saying to me, with the wisdom that exists in our society, the only way we can fix this is by insurance. Crazy. Quick commercial break. Be right back after this.
Foundation.
Fish Fry Friday is back at Margaritaville, downtown Nassau, a 12-volt bar featuring the big band Visage with the latest soca music. Admission is $25, one complimentary drink included. Experience the Fish Fry Buffet at Vacation Cafe for only $55, party included. Doors open at 6:30 p.m., party until 11:30 p.m. After break, Fish Fry Friday is back. The Big Band Visage and your number one DJ, March 1st at 12-volt Bar, Margaritaville, downtown Nassau. Tell your crew to meet you at Fish Fry Friday.
It's Whopper Wednesday every Wednesday at Burger King Nassau. Make your Wednesday sizzle and sink your teeth into a flame-grilled beef patty topped with tomatoes, fresh cut lettuce, mayo, pickles, ketchup, and sliced onions, all on a toasted sesame seed bun with fries for only $5.95, including VAT. This Whopper Wednesday, grab a friend and head down to your favorite BK Nassau location for a flame-grilled Whopper made your way with crisp fries for only $5.95. Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
Struggling to repay your loan? Let us help you get back on track with payment terms that suits your financial situation and improve your credit score and credit report with the Bahamas Credit Bureau. Inquire about our restructured loans today. Call us at 356-7764.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company. The foundation lines are wide open. Be a part of the conversation. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family violence, 242-300, 5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. It's a quick story out of the Tribune I want to read for you. Medics Footlands. All right. Tribune staff reporter says that the president of the Consultant Physician Staff Association, the CSPA, said that doctors and nurses at the Princess Margaret Hospital are strained and fatigued by the increase in gun violence. Obviously, it's been traumatic for everyone. This is what Dr. Charlene Lockhart told the Tribune yesterday, and I am a pediatrician, so we've had children involved in a number of these incidents, and so that has been pretty traumatic for us. A 16-year-old girl was taken to the hospital yesterday after she was caught in the crossfire of shooting, and this is Monday's paper, so yesterday would have been Sunday, right? Of a shooting that left a 35-year-old father dead after he picked up from church from Wilson Track on Corder Avenue. It says the girl's uncle said that she was grazed by the shooting, but did not sustain serious injuries. Now let's read this. It says that the emergency room has been very busy, and it really puts a strain on all of us as we're trying to take care the usual things that come into the emergency room. And you basically have to stop and have all hands on deck to take care of people who are critically injured from these incidents. This is what the doctor says. And Dr. also goes on to Dr. Lockhart goes on to say that the shortage of staff and the supplies is taxing doctors and nurses even more than gun violence. She said that issues retaining nurses are at a critical point. They have made an attempt to hire nurses, which is obviously going in terms of physician staff, not quite sure where they have been much relief in that particular front. So we see that the government is trying, but we are really at a critical point when it comes to staffing and supplies, and we do not need some more urgent and immediate, and we do need some more urgent and immediate relief. This is information. I think every single one of us is exhausted by this. I'm sick and tired of talking about it. I'm exhausted waking up every morning, holding my breath, trying to figure out what we're talking today, politics or pillaging. What are we talking today? What are we talking today? Every day. We've gone from holding our breath and being able to clutch our pearls to being able to say, well, you know, damn, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Let them kill up themselves. We are exhausted as a society. I'm exhausted at the finger pointing, at the pontification, at the concepts and ideas of being able to speak to this. I want to see some action. Telephone call on the line with us live. Go ahead. Caller?
How are you today, Howard?
I'm good, man. What's happening?
That's good. I must put my little input in here today.
I appreciate you.
You and the gentleman that called prior to you going on the break, y'all lost in this whole issue, Howard.
Let me hear it.
I think you all need to take to the streets and get the real cause of what's going on.
Let me hear it.
Everybody say it's drug related. Most the killings are drug related. No, it's not. There's a major problem in our society with the young youths with conflict resolution. That's the biggest problem in our society today, Howard.
Okay.
Kids are killing kids. Now, I don't know what happened to the 35-year-old, but most of those other killings are, if you look at the age demographic, okay? The majority of those are under 24 who got killed in recent times. The majority of those are young men, right? And a lot of people talking about gang initiation. We really truly don't have no serious gangs in the Bahamas anymore like how it used to be. We don't, Howard. Okay? And at the end of the day, persons wanna say these kids now are the grandkids of the 80s and 90s kids. So let's put it this way, Howard. What about those bootleggers that turned those who used to smuggle rum, right? That turned to smuggle drugs, right? And then they hang up their gloves, and now they're the wealthy in this country. I'm not calling any name, any family, nothing. All right. All right. What about those people? They're part of the problem also. Okay. Everybody's talking about what the government can do, what the police can do, but what are you as a citizen gonna do? Okay. It takes more than the government, the police, the courts. It takes all of us to put our hands together, come together as one, and find a resolution to this problem. And the major resolution right now in the Bahamas is conflict resolution. We are tackling the drug problem, we are tackling this problem and that problem. But let's be real, Howard. In the 80s and 90s, here in the Bahamas, haven't seen half as much drugs in the Bahamas like how it used to be in the 80s and 90s.
I know.
90s. You could basically go in an area and pick out those persons that you deem to be drug dealers. Okay. In the 80s and 90s, every family had 2 or 3 different persons in one household were drug dealers. Okay? So let's not disconvolute this whole issue and put it to it's a gang initiation and the drug dealers. No, it's more to it than that. If each one teach one, right? And take the time to bring up the young youths, especially young men, all right, from primary school, we'll see it different in our society today. Thank you.
I appreciate your telephone call, my brother. Thank you so much. Conflict resolution. The only thing that goes in my mind, right? Because life is about seasons. And every man has to go through their season, right, of maturity. You have to matriculate into this kind of a mature state, all right? And so as we go through this, I try to think of my mind at 16 years old, what was my conflict? What conflict did I have? Outside of this $3 that I saved for 2 days, what conflict did I really have? What issue that I endured? And this isn't in comparison. I'm trying to think back to when I was 16 years old. One time, as a prefect, right? One time, this fella hit me in the head with a basketball, and then he pulled a knife on me, right? All because I told him to get off the court. But he was mentally disturbed as a human being. And so my guys wanted to fight, right? You know, because we had, everybody had a little crew, right? And I said, no, that's not who we are. That's not who it is. I said, everything good. You go. And that was it. That was it. I never had no major conflict other than this sort of a love interest when I was in school. What could possibly be the conflict for little children who can't read, who can't write, who don't have sufficient supplies in terms of what could be the conflict, unless that's the conflict within itself? What could be the conflict? What major position do you have? Is it that you know that you're moving into life and you're unprepared? What could be the major conflict that we're dealing with? And if that's the conflict that you're dealing with, which is just the accoutrements of life, which is just things, we could fix this. We could fix this. We could help you fix this. You need a pair of shoes, you need some clothes, we could help you fix this. This community could help you. What is the issue you having? It is a crisis in your mind and your spirit. Do you try to figure out who you are, whether or not you're one side or not? What is the conflict that young children feel they need to kill you for? Call on the line with us live. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Howard.
Hey, I'm right here.
How you doing? You okay?
All is well.
Okay. The last caller said conflict resolution. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, he said that the issue in this country is conflict resolution. The young children don't know how to deal with their issues.
Okay. So when you hear the dark word, what you think of? What you think about? Or who you think about?
Conflict resolution?
Yeah. That sounds familiar? That remind you of some person or somebody?
Jog my memory.
Hello?
What are we talking about?
Okay.
Go ahead.
What the government is saying, Mr. Reid and Mr. Monto for?
Conflict resolution, yes. Yes.
Isn't that what they're paying them for?
Yes.
Okay, so why are we even discussing conflict resolution? Huh?
They're getting paid for it.
Okay, they're getting paid for it. Why aren't we seeing any results? Why aren't they coming to the media? Because the press officers coming and letting us know what's happening. Why aren't they coming to us telling us how they're dealing with what's going on? And you, on the other hand, are saying what could be going through the young person's mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before all of this conflict, right? You know what's going through their mind, Howard? The same thing was going through the average Bahamian mind, okay? They have a parent, if they're associated with a particular government, they can't find either work or they can't find food. They can't find, things is just tough over here, Howard, Things is tough.
You think that reach...
Pardon me?
When I was 16, my daddy issues and my mother issues about money never reached me.
It's reaching now. It's far-reaching. It's far-reaching because, for example, like my mom can't afford to buy food. You remember Mr. Roberts was talking to us like a couple of months ago when he said the food prices are going up.
30%, yes, he tell us that.
You see, it's happening and it has been up where you can't afford to buy no food, Howard, and nobody's saying nothing. It ain't bothering no one. It's the simplest thing. We're causing problem in this country. You can't find a job. You come out of prison, and because you are not trusted in society, you can't find work. People are saying they're willing to take you on, train you, counsel you, but is it happening?
No.
Huh? You taking these people out to persons who could mentor them, and at the end of the day, they're charging you nothing, even that even for free. It's a real world, Everybody is painting pictures so beautiful, and when you come out here facing reality, it's a tough world.
So the little children could see this? The little children could see this?
They know this.
From their vantage point?
I'm telling you, they use a lifestyle, and now it's impossible. Mom having problems, so just drag right onto them. She don't even have the time to check for them, worry about what they're into, company they keep in. It's a serious world. Politics has changed in this country. And who have their hand in the sun, that's for them. But as far as crime, and nothing changing right up and now. I can tell you the truth. We have to change some things we're doing first before we could get to change crime. Wow. There's a lot of stuff. Okay then.
I appreciate your telephone call. I don't know. I keep trying to figure myself at 68. My daughter's 68. My son's going to be 18. My daughter's going to be 16. right? I keep trying to figure myself at this age. And the only thing that was different between me and my daughter is that I, as a man, I knew I had to be independent. My daddy told me from I was a child, which I never told my children. My daddy told me as I was a child, boy, if you want them damn clocks, you better go get a job. If you want this, you better go get a job. And so I always knew I had to present myself independent to acquire the things that I envisioned. I knew that. My daughter, she just got to say, Daddy, you could purchase this for me. And I say, hold on, I'll get it for you in a couple of weeks. It ain't going to be now. That's it. And so I have kind of levied that thing on there. But other than that, she is a normal, in my view, based upon how I grew up. And my family and my cousins, she's normal. But just saying to see, listen, my financial issue should never reach my daughter. It should never reach my daughter. My issues between me and my wife, what we got to be able to do, try to be able to shave some money over here, to put this on this, to put a little piece on that, to come back next month to do this, to do that. That should never reach my daughter. She's content. Are you hungry? You want something to eat? You need your hair done? Boom, 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 boom. The electricity on, so forth and so on. These are things that we take care of as parents. So you saying to me that these children see the full weight of inconsistencies and the tribulation of their parents from a financial standpoint, which already give them a forecast that, my God, if I get into this now, I better go hurry up and get something. Maybe the only thing that our society respects is the gun. I better buy a gun. That ain't conflict resolution. Unless it's social conflict resolution. The conflict of living in this society and being able to identify power for yourself is to purchase a gun. Is that what you're saying to me? Crazy. Let me take a next telephone call before we get out of here. Caller, go ahead.
Afternoon, Howard.
Hey, what you saying?
I am shocked that there's no gang wars here. There's no gang. I know gangs when I see it, when I can smell it. I've been all around the world, all the United States, all ghettos, right? I think we're having TikTok wars. Now, the police need to get them boys TikTok, get them boys cell phones, and see who they war with on TikTok and Instagram. That's all it is. These are children. They don't have nothing. They just don't know consequence. And this gangster rap, the whole group, YSL, got indicted. They were talking murder. Could you believe that? That Georgia rap group called YSL. They were talking too much murder, racist murder. Till Friday Rollins had them indicted in court. Our young people listen to that. Some of tattoos, but everyone know but tattoos now on their face. Tattoos, like we are so gullible, and then our children don't know consequence. The dating Fox Hill is going to a hotel, but we need to build a jail in Andres or McWarner, where your mother can feed you every Sunday.
Yeah, I like that.
Consequences hurt like
I agree with that.
Like how although you might have liked his bill, Senator Joe Biden violent crime bill, that break law, that crushed, that tied the hands of federal judges. He get a minimum 20, minimum 40, minimum life, minimum death penalty.
That also broke society now.
But America is still there. I was living in that era, and Governor Jeb Bush break state law. He tied the hands of them judges. He say them liberal judges, I will give them 10 minimum, 20 if somebody get hurt, and life if somebody die.
Yeah, but that's still inconsistency. That's still inconsistent. Why? Because 85%.
I was there.
85% of the prisoners. 85% of the prisoners. Some 85% of the prisoners in the United States of America right now are black and brown.
Because they're doing the most crime.
That cannot be. That cannot be. That cannot. That is absolutely impossible.
When I move into my condo, I was only black. The white people look at me like they saw the wash woman in dirty clothes. Until I found out I was Bahamian, they loved me.
Oh, no.
Them black Americans was doing fool. They have babies.
I disagree with you. I got to disagree with you. I hear what you say.
In the hood?
I hear what you say. America have 356 million people in it, almost 400 million people. More than, okay, let's be decent. Almost 200 million of them are Caucasians. Almost 200 million. That's almost half of them are Caucasians. Let's be very clear about this. It is absolutely impossible from a numeric standpoint for the mass of these people who are Caucasian not to be committing no crime. And the only crime that is happening in rural areas, in urban areas, in ghetto areas. And then you multiply the approach of being able to, and then you incentivize these states and places by being able to create a prison and paying them. This is a big business. Come on, man. Come on now. Let's stop it. That has broken America even further. Because one time ago in the 80s, we could have at least heard from Public Enemy. We could have at least heard from all of our conscious rappers that gave us an insight of being able to fight the power and stand for ourselves. And then they infiltrate the music system and started to be able to give gratification to those persons who spoke about gangster rap. When NWA took on this kind of position, come on, man, see, y'all didn't start me up. NWA took on this kind of position. Their position was fighting the power against the injustice that was presented to them by rules and regulations, laws like this. Then that morphed into just screw all of y'all in this position. And that is where the morphing and development of this particular gangster rap come from. This wasn't gangster rap. It was identified as gangster rap. This was rap that liberated people. When you saw Ice Cube, them talking about this, it was, come on, man, you got me talking now. You got me talking. We only got a couple of minutes left. You cannot identify an entire ethnicity and say that what they're doing wrong, and they don't even compare. Listen to me. It's only 19% black people in America. 19%. There are more Latin Americans in America than blacks, than African Americans. How could it possibly be that in the prison system, which is lopsided, is more black Americans than anybody else? It don't make sense. It don't make sense. And it only could go back to a slavery period, an indoctrination, a mindset that exists in these particular things. So I agree with some of what you say. In terms of prison shouldn't be no vacation. Your mother shouldn't be able to bring you peas and rice and conch and this and that and everything on the weekend, and you're content with those things. You should go off to another island. If your mother them want to visit you, they got to catch a ferry, so forth and so on, like they're on Rockers Island. I agree with that. But when it comes to just being able to imprison every man, come on, that's injustice. You can't do that. You got to be decent. Be fresh all the time. I'm not going to fight you. Let me see if I can read two of these texts before I get out of here. So it says, one thing I hear about too much is everybody crying political. I hear them blaming FNM, and then they want to, when they were in power and they crying PLP, point the finger on one person with the gun. I never hear a murderer say that they're killing for the FNM or the PLP. This problem goes further than political. There's a text that's coming through. This is Good Day, Howard. I remember when Preacher Grant got to speak out about the government, what was doing next week. And then the next week, everybody was wondering where he went. And then they hear from him, he was in the United States of America. Be careful. That's wild. You don't even want me to talk now? So it says, the Democrats with Kamala Harris is a member of the original party of the Southern racists who birthed the KKK and have managed to rebrand themselves as a party of freedom and democracy. But just look at the conditions of the black in the United States of America who is voting a bloc, who, as a voting bloc, have consistently voted Democrat. I agree with you, sir. Has consistently voted Democrat for the past 50 years. So can we really expect them to have any good agenda for the little black nation that seems to be lost in terms of identity and culture? The Republicans who are actually fought for civil rights and equality have moved so far right that you can't even recognize them anymore. This is a text coming through. Suck my teeth. This is a text that's coming through. It says, boy, Howard, I tell you, things change. It's a great show as usual. I'm 46, and the only conflict I have ever had when I was 16, I was hoping that I could keep all these gals calling me. Okay. There's the next one to say, boy, Howard, I tell you, woman with chips in her mouth. There's a high cost of living is worldwide. This inflation ain't only in the Bahamas thing. This is a text coming through. It says, hey, Howard, Monka is unable to say what his daily tasks are. Why do we as Bahamians play silly? He gave his own national security minister airtime daily during his campaign, and Monka pledged PLP, propaganda. And he was subsequently gifted a contract. Wow, this is a lot. I'm not going to read the rest. You're wilding out today. You're doing a lot. So it says, brother, the last call and the lady is sad. All she says about the government is she's never talked about what she's doing to help with the problem. Some of these people need to grow up. This is a text that's coming through. So it says, good afternoon, Howard. My son, his mindset to go to Canada at 14, to finish school and then college. How can I tell him not to go with this foolishness going on in the country? I agree with you. Tell your children, go get the education and come back. You got to come back. We must get the right people involved or you will see major changes. If you cannot fly a plane, get a good qualified proven pilot to take you on your destination. They cannot come to the media because they are lost and do not know. I suppose you're talking about Rodney and oh Lord, why is his name Carlos? I suppose you're being Rodney and Carlos. It says they cannot come to the media because they are lost and do not know what to do. Those two are my brothers, Howard, right? So it says, okay. The man is my Uncle Ruckus. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show today. As well after 2 p.m. We continue talking about crime and how we can be able to do that tomorrow. We're going to have a panel discussion to be able to read a few more of these texts. I want to thank you so very kindly for chiming in. I don't want to be able to hump up